What's good, YouTube? Man, we back with another reaction video. I'm about to react to Clayton Crowley making the case. I did the Larry Bird, I did the Bucks, I did the Lakers, but we about to do the 1989 Detroit Pistons. This is actually a requested reaction from one of my subs. He a Pistons fan, so hopefully I can get some more Pistons fans on this on my channel, because I think I probably got like, I don't know, I probably got a good 10 10 Pistons fans, because I'm pretty sure I got like Detroit Red Wings fans on my channel. I got Detroit Lions fans on my channel too, from reacting to football. So I'm pretty sure y'all Pistons fans too. But so I'm pretty sure y'all gonna tap into this, man. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all comment, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Check out the description box. You know what I'm saying? If you want to support the channel. But yeah, for all my Detroit fans, man, I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I'm like 45 minutes away from y'all, man. So we definitely got a connection. You know what I'm saying? We got a connection off rip. So y'all definitely got to tap in. Y'all definitely got to comment. Any Pistons fans out there, you know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all tap in. You feel me? But we about to react to this 1989 Bad Boys, man. I'm trying to get more NBA fans on my channel too, because I'm getting more hockey subs than NBA fans, because I've been doing a lot of hockey videos and a lot of other videos, but I got majority basketball videos on my channel. So make sure y'all tap in. I'm trying to get Pistons fans, NBA fans, you know what I'm saying, the older crowd on my channel too. So yeah, make sure y'all tap in. Make sure y'all like this video up, man. Hopefully we can get this video to 100 likes. But other than that, man, let's get straight to it. Let's get straight to it, man.
What's the goal of basketball? To win, right? But not just to win individual games. The ultimate goal is to win a championship. Of course, basketball is a team sport. Championships are won by the most complete, most inspired team. Every champion deserves credit, but the question on my mind is, who's the greatest team of all time? With apologies to Bill and Wilt, I have a list of 8 teams since 1970 that I want to look at as having a claim to that distinction. It is a loaded question, and one that I ultimately can't answer. Is it the teams that were front runners from beginning to end? The ones who were unbeatable at their peak?
AD.
Maybe the ones who tapped into something special and overcame countless obstacles? There is no right answer. It's your job to make your own call, and it's my job to make the case. So today, I'll be
I want to learn more about the 89 Pistons, because I know about them, but I want to learn like some more facts about them, because I'm pretty sure some shit that I don't know. My bad if the video echoing too, because I ain't trying to, it only echo when I turn the volume up and I want to hear what they saying. So I don't know, I ain't got no headphones to put in right now. So
you need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Bad boys, bad boys.
The
What
Bad
you gonna do?
Perhaps the most notorious collection of bruisers and tough guys ever to play basketball. If you lived through it and you weren't from Detroit, odds are you hated the Pistons. Not just because they defined what a physical brand of defense
I hate the
looked
04
like,
Pistons.
but because they also kicked your team's ass at one point or another. They finished the regular season with a 63-19 record,
15 and 2 in the
playoff games, and boasted one of the vaunted defenses in basketball history. They ran 9 or 10 men deep, led by Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars in the backcourt, Bill
Johnson,
Laimbeer in
that's
the
my
middle,
dog.
Dennis Rodman, Adrian Dantley, and later Mark Aguirre as the forwards, Rick Mahorn at the 4 spot, and Vinnie Johnson, John Sally, and James Edwards coming in as reserves. Let's go ahead and get one thing straight. The Pistons are villains. What else would you call a team that threw more elbows, dealt more hip checks, and delivered more hard fouls than any?
I just bumped Larry out of bounds.
Listen to any old interview. It's impossible to arrive at a different conclusion. Everyone hated them. Pippen, Jordan, Bird, McHale, Parrish, Worthy, reporters, announcers, commentators, executives, and fans alike pined for the heads of the Pistons. They were the villains. You might point out the fact that Bill Laimbeer goes down as perhaps the most hated athlete who never did anything illegal. He bumped, shoved, pushed, and jawed against everyone, with special treatment saved for the league's most popular stars. Concerns were raised that his style of play wasn't just physical, it bordered on the intent to injure other players. You might remember the comments made by Rodman and co-signed by Isaiah after the 1987
Rodman was
Eastern
super
Conference
athletic
Finals
these days.
against the Celtics, in which the two asserted that if Larry Bird were black, he'd be just another good player.
I still got Zeke as the number 2 point guard of all time.
If he was black, he'd be just another good guy.
Add in the fact that Isaiah had the taste of sour grapes because of his infamous stolen inbounds pass in Game 5, and the Pistons looked downright petulant. Toss in the walkout after the '91 Eastern Conference Finals and a general air of intimidation and lack of sportsmanship from nearly the entire roster, and you could say that the reputation of the bad boy Detroit Pistons preceded them. That they were and have always been the villains. And you would be right. And that, my dear viewer, is exactly what the Pistons wanted. It's what makes them great villains, and what makes them a great basketball team. This team is layered. On the outside, you have the infamous physicality, the bully ball, the bad boy namesake. This fed into an entirely intentional and calculated strategy in which the Pistons sought to contest their opponents mentally. They wanted their opponents more preoccupied with where the next hit was coming from than with winning the basketball game. And you'll notice that through all the infamous scraps that the Pistons were ever involved in, they rarely threw the first punch. Agitate, don't retaliate. Instigate, don't initiate. None of it would have worked, nor been possible, had the Pistons not been ludicrously talented. And what brought it all together was the same thing that is at the heart of only the greatest of champions, only the most superlative teams. A deep, genuine, authentic bond and belief in each other. At the heart of the Pistons was the fact that they were a team. The physicality was what it was, and I don't condone what they did. At times it had an essence of
That boy Bird was
brutality.
throwing punches.
Basketball is a better sport without it. But it did make possible an improbable championship run at a time when they weren't supposed to be there. It was an approach built almost out of necessity. The 80s belonged to Bird and Magic, and as Michael Jordan began his ascent, it was clear that he would soon inherit the league. No one allocated the time nor the space for a blue-collar team from Detroit without a single player averaging over 20 points to inject themselves into basketball history.
It's a good-ass, balanced-ass
Head coach
team.
Chuck Daly and Isaiah realized that this team couldn't win by playing the way the Celtics played. They couldn't win playing the way the Lakers played. They didn't have a Michael Jordan. They had to find an edge. And so they exploited the fact that at that time in the NBA, a foul was just a foul. You could get ejected for overtly malicious acts. You could get a technical foul for arguing
Jordan
the
was
call
taking a
or for
beating.
technical
Jordan
infractions.
rules.
But a clothesline was penalized the same way that a reach-in was. To gain an advantage, the Pistons became willing to go where no other team had gone before. They bucked sportsmanship, skipped over gamesmanship, and went to work on their opponent's psyche. Of course, none of this would have mattered. None of the mind games or the shit-stirring would have done the Pistons a lick of good had they not been one of the deepest, most complete teams to ever compete in the NBA. Bill Laimbeer, as we've established, was the league's premier antagonist. But his antics overshadow his tremendous defensive abilities, his exceptional rebounding instincts, his peerless durability, and the
That's
fact
all I
that
hear
he
about him
remains
being a
among
dirty
the
player.
sweetest shooting centers ever. He averaged a 14 and 10 on 50% shooting,
Decent
despite
as
the fact
fuck.
that he didn't have a post move to speak of in an era that was still predicated on play down low. His quick trigger on a shooting stroke made Laimbeer an essential pick and pop player, something that was nearly as alien in 1989 as a smartphone. Just as important, he never tried to be something that he wasn't. He knew he wasn't as good as Parrish or Kareem or McHale or Olajuwon. He couldn't dream of competing athletically with the great centers at the time. So he operated with intent, exploiting position, intelligence, tenacity, and physicality to command the court like a chessboard. He wore the black hat. He winked at the cameras when he knew that millions of fans were screaming at their TV sets. To the world, he provided a face for the bad boy image, a lightning rod for their controversy. To the team, he provided the spirit and the motor for everything they tried to do. Speaking of controversial guys with high motors, Dennis Rodman. Now keep in mind, this was not the Dennis Rodman with the hair and the tats and the high-profile relationships. This version of Rodman was young, hungry,
athletic
and
as fuck,
motivated
too.
chiefly by his desire to prove that he belonged on a championship NBA roster. His rapid development necessitated a midseason trade that we'll talk about later, but Rodman spent the majority of the year coming off the bench. Despite limited minutes, Rodman averaged nearly a double-double and was a first-team all-defensive selection. The most important thing to know about Rodman is that he cared. He cared a lot. He fought for rebounds, dove for loose balls, took defensive assignments personally, and paid no mind to speed limits. He was full throttle, foot on the gas, at all times.
That motherfucker Dennis
Cried when he
Rodman,
won
bro.
Defensive Player of the Year in 1990. He pumped his fist after taking every charge. Though he wasn't a scorer, young Rodman was an athlete on the level of
Athletic as
Sean
fuck.
Kemp and Charles Barkley and belongs in the
Good
Chamberlain,
ass
Russell,
rebounding skills,
Moses
bro.
class of
God
rebounder.
damn.
At 6'7", he was the quintessential defender in the league. He could be
Ripping
stuck
magic.
on anyone, from John Stockton to Scottie Pippen to Robert Parrish. No matchup was too big for him, and he consistently raised his level to that of his opponent throughout his career, whether it was Larry Bird or Shaquille O'Neal. As much as I've enjoyed and will continue to enjoy pushing the villain narrative with these Pistons, the fact is not everyone played rough. In fact, if you didn't know any better, would you believe me if I told you that the player for whom the NBA's annual sportsmanship trophy is named played for the '89 Pistons? It's true. Since 1996, the player who most exemplifies the ideals of sportsmanship on the court, with ethical behavior, fair play, and integrity, is awarded the Joe Dumars Trophy. Joe Dumars might not have shared the same attitude as some of the rest of the Pistons,
Joe Dumars was
but he
cold.
was as vital to the team as any player, combining with Isaiah to form one of the scariest backcourts you can imagine. As a scorer, he was as well-rounded as anyone in the league. He wasn't a high flyer, but he could attack the basket, make his free throws, swing the ball around, and nail shots from all over the court. As a defender, I think I need only tell you that Michael Jordan cites Dumars as the toughest cover he ever faced in the NBA. Like Rodman, he was a first-team All-NBA defensive selection. Perhaps even more impressive considering he didn't resort to cheap shots.
Good D.
Dumars goes down as one of the more nightmarish two-way matchups ever, capable of torching defenders like Michael Cooper and putting the clamps on even the likes of Michael Jordan. Averaging 27 points a game in the finals on a scorching 57% field goal percentage, Dumars' 1989 Finals MVP serves as a testament to the balance of the Pistons and to just how damn good he was.
That's a good.
Rick
that
Mahorn
motherfucker
stood as a
good.
brick wall next to Lambeer, similarly
That's a dog,
unafraid to get
underrated.
his hands dirty, set
Joe
hard
Dumars.
screens, grab rebounds, and make his presence known.
Rick
Vinny the
Mahorn.
Microwave Johnson came off the bench to the tune of 14 points a game. As his namesake implies, the Microwave
The
could get hot in
Microwave.
a hurry and feasted on opposing reserve
Vinny
units.
Johnson was a motherfucker off the bench.
John Sally and James Edwards were players more out of the Joe Dumars mold, in that they weren't complete assholes. But both men played
See
key
you,
roles in
John
the
Sally?
team's championship effort.
Ooh.
Sally on the defensive end with his hellacious blocks, and Edwards on the offensive end with his unstoppable fadeaway. Leading the show
That's
with an
great,
incandescent
like, that's a
smile
great
that betrayed
combination.
one of the most competitive
Great
minds in
balance
professional
team.
sports was Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah, you got Zeke.
Spend any amount of time researching Isaiah Thomas's basketball career, and you will hear a number of things over and over. First and foremost, that he remains the best pure point guard of all time. That isn't
You
to
said
say
I'll
he's
say
the best
Magic number
point guard
one,
of all
Zeke number
time,
two.
but when it comes to what you would want out of a
They were trying to
traditional
put
point
Steph
guard,
number 2
speed,
or number 1.
Quickness.
And Steph number 3.
vision, passing ability, inside scoring, defense,
Ooh, good D.
toughness, leadership, and a dependable jump shot, Isaiah checks the boxes as well as any player who has ever played the position. He's on the short list of being one of the only point guards who can say that they were the best player on a championship-winning team, alongside Magic Johnson and Steph Curry. Isaiah's stock has always been something of debate, and most of that is his own fault. Of course, the reputation of the team and their ability to make enemies out of everyone did him no favors in the moment. No one wanted to talk about how great Isaiah was. They went to bed at night dreaming of Isaiah getting rocked by Hulk Hogan. Because he managed to piss off so many stars, when they came together and formed the Dream Team in the summer of '92, Isaiah was famously left out. He hasn't done himself any favors in his post-playing career, embarrassing himself as an executive and coach, and prolonging his feud with Michael Jordan by asserting that LeBron James is the greatest player ever. He will always lose the popularity contest. Even people who never saw him play hate him because the legends of the game hate him.
You just hate Mike.
None of this is to make
He was
you
better off
pity
saying
Isaiah.
Kobe.
When you choose to play like he did and cultivate a reputation that way, you have to live with consequences like this. But those aren't the only reasons Isaiah gets discounted. Isaiah could take over games at a moment's notice. He did it all the time, which is why his blunder in '87 is even more shocking. Isaiah lived for the big moments. But the thing that made him special was that he sought basketball of the highest
Zeke
order.
was not to be
He
played
didn't
with.
want to have to take over games. He didn't care about making All-NBA teams or winning MVPs. He wanted to win, and he wanted to win with a team
That's
of
one of my
guys who
favorite
bought
Zeke
into a
moments right
culture
there.
of accountability
That little
and
spin
camaraderie.
around.
He gave up shots and minutes so that Dumars and Vinnie Johnson could develop. He cultivated the culture like a garden, meticulously tending to its needs, encouraging and ensuring that it grew in all the right ways. In his eyes, a team was a lot harder to stop when you had to worry about 9 guys who could beat you than it was to stop 2 or 3. It's why the team's statistics don't jump out at you. They played a style of basketball between the lines. The balance of the Pistons roster,
I already said. I said at the beginning of the video.
would not have been possible had Isaiah not been so willing to sacrifice his own
Balance
success
is
for the
crazy.
greater
They got
good.
everything you need.
You might think that's hokey, and you might think that's bullshit, but it's true. When you talk about that era of basketball, there are 4 names that matter more than all the
Dumars.
others. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and Isaiah Thomas. And oh, by the way, Isaiah has a winning playoff record against each of those other 3 players. If you want proof of the Pistons culture, look no further than the Adrian
Isaiah
Dantley,
underrated.
a 6'5" scoring machine that would one day end up in the Hall of Fame. Dantley arrived in Detroit in '87 and immediately made an impact. He gave the team an offensive dynamic that they'd been missing for years and helped propel the franchise to contender status. But by '89, Rodman's development was reaching a level that necessitated that he be on the court at the end of games instead of
I
Dantley.
love his rebounding.
Dantley, a 12-year NBA veteran,
His swag be
was
crazy.
unwilling to make room. So the team traded him for Mark Aguirre. The same Mark Aguirre who was only available on the trade market because he had worn out his welcome in Dallas after conflict with coaches and teammates. You might argue about who was the better individual player between Dantley and Aguirre, but Aguirre came to the Pistons with something to prove. It was made clear to him from day one by Lambeer and Isaiah that he was expected to buy in, to sacrifice for the good of the team, to do what Dantley couldn't. It worked. Aguirre went from averaging over 25 points a game over his last 5 full Dallas seasons to 15 a game as a Piston in '89. With his incendiary scoring abilities from the post and Rodman's defensive versatility on full display, the Pistons flourished. In the 50 games between Aguirre's first game and the Pistons hoisting the championship trophy, the Pistons went 44-6. They swept Bird's Celtics in the first round, swept the Bucks in the second round, fended off Jordan's Bulls in 6 to set up a rematch with the Lakers in the finals, and sauntered their way to a championship sweep against the defending champions.
That's a good
I'll
ass
be the
run.
first to point out that the Celtics were past their prime in dealing with injuries, that Byron Scott missed the finals because of a hamstring injury before Game 1, that Magic was himself hampered by a hamstring injury in Game 2. But the '89 Pistons aren't the greatest team of all time because of who they beat to win their first championship. They're the greatest team of all time because of how they won that championship.
Nah, I wouldn't say all
Pistons
that
were
now.
designed to beat those teams at their peak.
Greatest team ever?
Just because the Pistons got lucky at the same time they were peaking takes nothing away
But I guess
from
they
how
got a
good they
case.
were, in my eyes. What do you want? Do you want a team that can defend in the post? Ask any big man from that period about what it was like to play against Lambeer, Mahorn, and Sally. Do you want to shut down scoring from the guards? Look no further than the greatest defensive backcourt ever in Isaiah and Dumars. And if there's any player that's too big for the guards and too quick for the big men, Dennis Rodman is waiting in the wings as one of the most devastating individual defenders that the game has ever seen.
Facts.
The scoring could come from anywhere. The synergy of the team was such that they would feed those hot hands and usually heat up themselves
and you got
to
Joe
crush you
Dumars
in a million
and
different
Zeke.
ways from every direction. The scoring disparity between their leading scorer and their ninth man was 11 points a game. That's the same scoring disparity between Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen in 1996. They passed brilliantly. They played without ego. They could shoot. They could score inside. They could penetrate. Ironically, the bad boys played a very unselfish style of basketball that, were it not for the hostility of their attitude, would have had basketball purists singing their praises. This team had an identity as the villains. They embraced it. It brought them closer together. As the rest of the world got more hostile, the Pistons got closer. To a man, they all speak of each other not as co-workers, but as friends and brothers in arms. Yeah, they were the bad guys, but give me a great villain over a decent hero every day of the week. They're so much more interesting. The best heroes are the ones who have to overcome their flaws, and the best villains are usually the ones with something humanizing about them. Look at Isaiah's Game 6 in the '88 finals, the year before this championship team. He was rolling in the third quarter with his team up 3-2 against the Lakers. He was doing everything in his power to launch his team over the finish line. And with his franchise's first championship just 20 minutes away, the unthinkable happened. Fast break situation, streaking down the court, he rolls his ankle. He hits the floor and reaches out, instinctively grasping at the referee as he tries to stomach the pain. His ankle is sprained. Badly. On the bench, he clenches his teeth, summoning every bit of willpower he possesses. The Lakers take advantage and surge back to take the lead. And then, hobbled and limping, Isaiah returns to the game.
Going crazy.
What follows is one of the gutsiest performances in the history of championship competition.
Half remaining in this period. Thomas with a looper scores. Thomas off balance. Basket goes and a foul as he goes into the first row, and he is still limping. Thomas goes for three and hits it. What a third quarter for Isaiah Thomas. Lakers now the Pistons with Rodman.
I love seeing shit like this.
Thomas moves up, and Isaiah Thomas having an incredible period. He has 35 in the game, 23 in this period, and the Pistons have regained the lead, 23 points. And the shot again by Thomas.
Sheesh.
It is 81-79. The period is over. Can you imagine the great performance, maybe one of the best we've ever seen in one quarter in NBA Finals history?
He finished the quarter with 25 points, the most ever in a single quarter of a finals game. The game would end on a pair of Kareem free throws following a controversial foul call against Lambeer. Karma, some would say, for all the fouls he got away with in years prior. The Pistons would lose Game 7 as Isaiah watched most of the second half from the sidelines. In light of that effort and that heartbreak, how can you watch the Pistons celebrate in '89 and not feel, if only for a minute, that they deserved it? They didn't cheat. They didn't cheat the rules, they didn't cheat the game, and they didn't cheat themselves. They earned every bit of what they achieved. The 1989 Detroit Pistons were willing to do whatever it took, at whatever cost. Listen to the way Lambeer talks about their approach. He sounds like Sun Tzu. Break the spirit of their leader, and you'll break the spirit of their unit. You couldn't come up with something that the Pistons didn't already have an answer for. And there have been few teams since that can boast a deeper, more versatile roster. Their masterful play, their inspired defense, their remarkable selflessness, and their ability to win games without scoring a layup make the Bad Boys the greatest basketball team of all time. They were willing to do whatever it took. What it took was to become the villains.
That was a good ass video, man. That was a good ass video, man. I know about the Bad Boys, but like when you really get the real breakdown of them, like you be like, damn, man, they really was really tough as hell, bro. When you really dissect who all was on their team and the lineup and shit like that when they made them trades. But yeah, man, I ain't gonna talk y'all ears off, man. Pistons fans, hopefully y'all tap in, man. That was a good ass video. I'm gonna do the 1996 Chicago Bulls. I'm definitely doing that one because I know that's gonna be fire too. But yeah, man, Pistons fans, man, tap in, man. Drop some comments, man. Hopefully I'll see y'all on here. Let's try to get this video to 100 likes, man, so more Pistons fans, because there's Pistons fans everywhere, bro. I know a lot of Pistons fans, bro. And I'm from Toledo, Ohio. That shit literally like 40 minutes away, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'll be in Detroit sometimes too, just to go up there and get food. So hopefully a lot of Pistons fans come across this video, man. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Appreciate y'all. Hopefully some new watchers subscribing. I'm trying to get the channel to 3K subs. I'm almost there. Shit, check out the description box. Like this video up. Y'all stay safe, stay tuned, and we out.